We do want to start with that Southwest Airlines plane, a 3-foot hole in the fuselage. Take a look here. This is just one of the pictures we are getting from inside that plane. Now, federal investigators, they want to get a better look at it themselves, and they are looking into this. Passengers, can you imagine being on this plane and in flight you could look up and see the sky? There were 118 passengers on board. They were pretty much all okay after that emergency landing they had to make. The plane was supposed to go from Phoenix to Sacramento, ended up having to make an emergency landing in Yuma. Debbie Downey was on that flight, and she is on the line with me now from Scottsdale, Arizona. Ma'am, we appreciate you. I know it was an interesting, if you will, night for you, and it's very early where you are, so we appreciate you giving us some time. But you tell me, what was the first indication that something wasn't quite right on this flight?
Immediately after takeoff, my husband, Larry Downey, and I were sitting right next to each other. My husband was just about ready to give the flight attendant a drink order, and as soon as I looked up, we immediately heard a loud explosion. I mean, a loud explosion. So we looked up, couldn't believe it. We were in shock. There was about a 5-foot to 6-foot ripped open 5 to 6 foot of the fuselage of the ceiling of the roof.
Now, ma'am, were you sitting wherever your seat was? Were you close enough to this hole that we got the reports that people could look up and see the sky? Or were you one of them that could look up through this and see an actual hole and see blue sky?
Yes, we were. We were in row 16. My husband and I looked up. You could see blue sky. You could see the wiring, the cabling, everything. It was actually terrifying.
Well, ma'am, what do you do from that point on? I assume some things go through your mind. You're thinking the worst and the possible, I mean, God forbid, a crash of this plane. But how did the flight attendants and the pilot react?
My husband said when he looked up, it's immediately, oh, my gosh, it's a blue sky. We looked at each other and thought, oh, my gosh, this is not a good sign. Immediately put our head down, looked up. The air mask fell down immediately within seconds, so we grabbed our masks. Started to kind of look out the window, and as soon as I tried to look out the window and put up the shade screens, the aircraft went into a complete nosedive.
Wow.
Fast.
Well, ma'am, how were the rest of the passengers reacting during all this time?
A lot of people were crying. There were women next to me crying. People were holding hands. I mean, everybody was terrified. It was very, very scary.
Now, ma'am, how much time was there between this incident, when that explosion in the hole opens up, until you actually get on the ground? How long did you have to go through all this?
I'd say we were flying maybe 15 minutes. It seemed like a lifetime, but it was quite a long time.
Did the pilot walk you all through it? Was he making announcements? Were you all able to hear him?
No, unfortunately, we couldn't hear anything because there was too much noise in the sky. Maybe after, I don't know, 10 minutes, we tried to look around to see what was going on and who we could talk to and gather information. My husband, I think, talked to a flight attendant or a neighbor.
I talked to a flight attendant, and the crew was just fantastic. They were very calm and settled everybody down. A number of the passengers were having trouble as you extend your oxygen line, making sure that everyone got oxygen, because some of the passengers on the flight were having trouble getting that, and we were at such a high altitude at the time that some of them were passing out. So it was pretty scary.
Wow. And forgive me, sir, I didn't realize you were on the line with me here as well, but thank you for being on the line as well. One other thing, you talked about some people possibly passing out, but as far as injuries, we got a report that maybe one person had minor injuries and maybe a flight attendant as well got bumped around. But did you see people being rattled around, if you will, and see people getting a few injuries, if you will?
Yeah, we descended so quickly that it was, it was so noisy that the plane actually decompressed pretty quickly. So if you didn't get your mask on, it was a pretty scary situation. But
well,
like I said, the crew did a great job.
Well, I know you all ended up hopping a flight and getting your way back home, and you all didn't continue on to your journey, but really, thank you guys so much. I know it's early out there and it's been a rough night for you, but we appreciate you sharing the story, one that a lot of passengers, a lot of people are going to be interested in. But Debbie and Larry, thank you both this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, and on their website, Southwest now saying that they have taken 80 similar 737s out of service this morning. They say they will undergo an aggressive inspection, so much more to come on that.